Hi guys, it's Ruth here, and today I'm going to be showing you a casualty injury effect. Uh, this look is going to be using some special effects products, but there are some alternatives which I will go through with you when we get to those points, so I hope you enjoy. So the first step is to put some spirit gum down. This is Meron's spirit gum, and basically its job is to make sure the wax stays in place and your injury lasts a little bit longer. Next, you're going to take your wax. Now I'm using Ben Nye's Nose and Scar wax, and you're going to smooth it all over the area that you want to create this injury. Once you've got it down, you want to take a little bit of Vaseline and you want to smooth out any rough areas as well as the edges. Now make sure you don't use too much Vaseline because then you're going to struggle when you're cutting out the actual shape of the effect. You then want to take your metal spatula, this one's from Krylon, and you want to start sculpting out and shaping where you want those cuts to form. Now it's important that you make sure that you're doing this in quite a cool room and that your hands aren't too hot. If your hands are hot or you're in a hot room, then the wax will obviously melt and stick to everything, which is not what you want to happen. You'll notice that every time that I take a chunk of the wax off, I make sure the spatula is wiped clean. This is to help stop the wax sticking on itself and any parts coming up that you don't want to come up. You need to make sure that the edges are nicely thinned out where the cuts are. This will give a more realistic effect to your grazes or your cuts or whatever it is you create. As you can see here, I'm just adding a little bit more to the effect. I just felt like a graze on the hand, you would have a little bit more trauma to the bottom of that finger, so I just added a little bit more. Once you've got it to the shape that you want for this injury, you want to take a little bit of translucent powder and you want to just brush gently over the top of the entire piece. You need to be a little bit gentle with this, otherwise you might move about the wax and disrupt the shapes that you created. Is my favourite part of doing any special effects is the painting. Here I'm using Delham's SFX brushes, and I'm actually using alcohol makeup. It's Skin Illustrators Bloody 5. It's a really cute little palette. It's got 5 pans in it and 4 are kind of different shades of red and 1 is a black, so it's perfect for doing effects like this. You can see that I'm using a light red just to go over the area where trauma would naturally happen to the skin, so in the surrounding area as well as into the cuts. Now it's all about building up the effect, so you need to make sure that you're steadily building that redness into the cuts, into the surrounding area, and not going too fast with the build up. If you don't have access to Skin Illustrator or alcohol palettes, you can use any cream based products. Ben and I have a really good range of them, as well as Grimace. Now I'm still using the same shade of red, I'm just concentrating it into those scratch areas. Like I said before, it's all about building up those colours. You want to also make sure that there's still a little bit of skin on show in between the cuts. This will just add further to the illusion of depth. When doing any sort of special effects makeup, it's really important to kind of consider your highlight and shading, which is why we try and keep the depth of the cuts a lot darker, and we keep some of the fleshy tones on top because it gives that illusion that the cut is deeper than it actually is. So you'll see that I'm starting to introduce darker shades of red right into those cuts, and that is creating the effect of depth. Again, you want to be patient with the painting steps. I know it looks like I'm going super duper fast here, but I've actually sped it up. So just make sure that you take your time during this stage. So I'm still building up that red trauma around the outside of the cuts. It's important to understand that with an injury like this on your hand, you would get some slight bruising. So you will see some red tones of bruising, as well as some slight purple tones of bruising going in there, just around the outside of the cuts. The thing that I really like about alcohol paints is that it's like using watercolours, so you can water down the colour and then use your finger to blend it out a little bit, and I find it creates a really nice natural effect. So I'm taking another little tiny bit of translucent powder and I'm just powdering off any shine, anything like that that would detract from the realism of the effect. Okay, so now you're going to add the blood effects. What I'm using here is Makeup for Film and Television Wound Filler. It's a really nice product. It goes on relatively easily, and it creates that nice chunky flesh kind of effect. There are other products out there that you can use for wound filler, such as Kryolan's Fresh Scratch, or you could even take some cotton wool and a little bit of fake blood and kind of push that into the wounds. Now I'm adding the kind of liquid blood effect here. I'm actually using Glen McKay's bruise gels. They're in the dark red colour, and I quite like them for creating blood effects, especially on small effects such as these. But I mean, you could use any sort of liquidy fake blood that you'd like. Biggest advice that I was ever given when I was training in special effects was to make sure that you don't overdo it too much with the blood. So always make sure that you kind of blotting off areas. You don't want it to cover up all the sculpting that you've done prior or all the painting that you've done prior. So, you know, take it easy with the blood. That is your wax cuts effects completed. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and make sure that you like it if you do. I do have other special effects videos on here, as well as prosthetic characters that I've made and general makeup looks. So if you have time, check them out. And for now, I'll see you next time. Bye!